I'm Jacqueline Woodall. Joining me, meteorologist Nicole Karkic, to talk a little bit about the active weather. Nicole, we were talking about this all day long, about any cell that has the potential to rotate could. You know what I mean?
Right.
If it can be isolated enough, our winds are doing the right things or wrong things to get storms to rotate. Now we're seeing rotation on this one pushing through to Tillsonburg.
That's right. So Tillsonburg would be the area where you want to get inside. Heavy rain potentially with this. And we have a lot of shear in the environment tonight. Not a lot of lightning strikes out there this evening, but heavy rain as well as a few areas that have been showing signs of rotation. Essex earlier today, Chatham, and now this one close to Tillsonburg. So heading in that trajectory.
And yeah, Simcoe, it might be sort of in between Tillsonburg and Simcoe, depending on the exact vector of the storm. One thing we're not seeing, I mean, obviously there's some heavy rain with the red here in this storm, but we're not seeing hail today. Nope. You know, it's a very different kind of structure of or lack of structure with our storms today. It's just been rainy, kind of big blob of rain, and then we get these rotating storms. It's kind of spooky.
Exactly. And careful out there. Clouds are very close to the ground, so if anything is rotating, might be hidden within the rain. So it's a problem if you are going to be out there looking for what's going on. If there starts to see some warnings in your area, and if you're in Tillsonburg, just again, warn people to get inside. It's not safe out there.
I think that's a great idea. Get down to the basement. Never be too safe in a situation like this. If we can just switch over, Dana Batiste is helping me out. Oh, you know what? Forget it. We're going to go to this radar. So we just isolated that Tillsonburg storm cell. Look at the size of the overall low. Just a ton of moisture with this one.
That's right. I kept telling people today, it's going to rain. It's going to rain all night. So,
once it starts.
You know, plan what you're going to wear. We've got the International Film Festival in the city of Toronto. Lots of people going out tonight. It is not going to stop. So we just have this persistent rain. Special weather statements are in place. We don't have rainfall warnings down in southern Ontario, just under that rainfall warning criteria, right?
Sure, that's right. And also, finally, just starting to see a little bit of clearing, maybe in and around the Lake St. Clair region, maybe pushing through to Sarnia for now. But, you know, the cells that are just south of Lake Erie have the potential to cross the lake. We've already had numerous tornado warnings, watches stateside. I'm not shocked to see that some of these storms are rotating in our area.
Exactly. Now let's turn our attention to the other story across the country.
Wow.
The most cars in one place.
AutoTrader.ca. Nicole Karkic. Across southern Ontario, we have special weather statements for heavy rain, but we have a team of meteorologists behind the scene here looking at the radar returns. And while there is no official tornado warning from Environment Canada, this cell right here showing signs of rotation between Tillsonburg and Delhi, moving very quickly. We've got heavy rain around it, so if you're outside, this might be hard to see. However, it is definitely showing some signs of rotation and heavy rain embedded in there as well. We take you to this right here, and this is showing you the wind velocity. Now, where you see that darker green right here, a little bit darker, it's hard to tell, but the darker green compared to the lighter green shows those winds in different directions. So that would be the rotation at this point. Not a good situation on the ground. We've got widespread rain too to deal with, possibly some flooding. Winds are, as of an hour ago, saw at least 29 millimeters of rain. So we're just going to add on to that. Widespread risk of those thunderstorms. But again, we're keeping our eye on areas marked in red: Windsor, Chatham, Kent, Essex, as well as that region towards Tillsonburg and Delhi. Again, at this point, showing signs of rotation. So tornado potentially in the area. Tell anyone you know in that vicinity to get inside. Certainly a dangerous, dynamic situation out there. As we look towards London as well as Toronto, isolated severe thunderstorms. With this, it's just going to be nasty because it's going to be wet and raw outside. It's a little bit misty too, and this is the slow moving rains you can see on the radar. Sarnia up towards Collingwood and towards the north as well, where we do have rainfall warnings. And that takes us to this shot right here. So Chapleau, Kapuskasing, Timmins in a rainfall warning because that will be up to 50 millimeters, but down towards the greater Toronto region, Barrie, including Windsor, those regions just below the rainfall warning criteria, but nonetheless in a special weather statement. So as of 5 p.m., heavy rain in London, winds 40 millimeters, Sarnia 28, Kitchener 3, Toronto light rain, but these numbers, we're just going to add on to them as the night goes on, and this is the forecast for the rainfall. Darker green is 30 to 45 millimeters. This is where the rainfall warning is in place. Notice the city of Toronto, 15 to 30 millimeters. Same story for Ottawa. Let's switch gears and talk about our other big story across the country, Calgary. Bad traffic this morning, of course. Heavy amounts of snow for this time of year, quite early. Last year, our first significant snowfall of the season for Calgary was October 27th. So this came a little bit early. Not unheard of to have snow in September for Calgary, but definitely early for a lot. Good news is it started to taper off around the Calgary region. The roads still looking pretty bad, especially the side roads. And here's a tip. If you have big trees in front of your yard or your backyard, just shake off that snow because we have that full foliage. The trees are very heavy. It could cause them to go down on power lines, and we've certainly already seen that. Still have some snowfall warnings in place through the foothills south of Calgary, as you can see right here. Crow's Nest Pass is included, Stavely as well. Generally, it's an additional 5 to 10 centimeters, and that 10 would include the higher elevations. Let's head now outside to Margot Morin, who has been such a trooper for the past couple of days, and I've noticed wearing the full gear outdoors. Thanks so much, Margot. All right, problem is tonight we're going to see really cold temperatures still, so we could get some ice building up on those roads out there. This is a snowfall we've seen since Sunday night, so the entire event since really early Monday morning. Northwest Calgary, 40 to 45 centimeters of snow. So coming up, we'll talk more about how the week plays out and when we're finally going to rebound in the west. Our Storm Watch coverage continues. We'll start off in Ontario and then move to our big story in the west with over 20 centimeters of snow in Calgary. But at this point, we have the radar up for southern Ontario, and we're focusing in on Tillsonburg. Between Tillsonburg and Delhi, you can see this thunderstorm cell tracking through the area, moving very quickly. Now, there's lots of rain surrounding it. If you're outside, it's going to be hard to see what's going on in the skies, but we are seeing signs of rotation on this. We have a full team of meteorologists behind the scene. Dana Batiste, Jacqueline Whittle, Chris Scott as well. They're looking at the radar returns and showing this signature, which we see on our velocity radars. And the darker green as well as the light green side by side indicate the winds in different directions. Inbound winds, outbound winds. So that would be signs of rotation. Not a good situation. Now we're going to flip right now and look at where we could continue to see that risk for thunderstorms. Again, anywhere marked in red, Windsor, Chatham, Kent, Essex, around Tillsonburg at this point. The strongest winds, possibly rotation, heavy downpours, and this extends all the way up into the greater Toronto region. This is showing you the big expanse, that low moving through, and there are rainfall warnings in the north. We'll talk more about the rainfall warnings for you in northern Ontario, but right now, let's head outdoors to Mike Arsenault in London. Thanks so much for that update, Mike. So certainly seeing some breaks in some regions after the rainfall, but also many regions are just going to get pummeled with rain over the next hour or so. Now, a big area of concern will be the north, potential for flooding, Chapleau, Kapuskasing, over towards Timmins. This rainfall warning indicates up to 50 millimeters of rain, and this is the count as of 5 p.m. Eastern time. Windsor, 40 millimeters, Sarnia, 28. Starting to see that light rain in the GTA and some heavy rain in London. We don't have a full count on that, but these numbers are definitely going to go up. This is the forecast for you in through the Toronto region, 30 to 45 when all is said and done. But again, the heavier amounts of rain will certainly be in the north. We'll switch gears now and head outside to the city of Calgary, where Margot Morin has been. And Margot, good news is we're seeing that snow tapering off, but still a chilly one for September. Thanks so much, Margot. So, of course, the radar showing that snow tapering off in Calgary, but still quite heavy down towards the south. Coming up, we'll tell you when temperatures will be back to 20 in Calgary. Our Storm Watch coverage continues. Two big stories across the country, one in Ontario, the other in Alberta. We'll get to that story in the west, but right now we'll focus right in on what's going on in southwestern Ontario, where the radar returns are showing signs of rotation. Environment Canada has not officially issued a tornado warning, but we are having clear signs that this cell right here moving into the area has been showing signs of rotation. Now, also heavy amounts of rain at this point. And it's going to be a wet one in Amherstburg. Of up to 60 millimeters of rain and some flooded basements. So not a good situation out there at all. We are going to switch off to the other radar right here as we look to what's going on first. There is a chance widespread of thunderstorms, Toronto, London, down towards the southwest, windy as well. We could see gusts between 60 to 80 kilometers an hour tonight. And the big radar return showing you that this front is moving through. We've got this right here, but northern Ontario, even heavier rain where a rain rainfall warning is in place, and you can see that right here. Wawa, Chapleau, Timmins, as well as Kapuskasing. This could be for the potential of 50 to 70 millimeters of rain. Down towards the Greater Toronto region, 30 to 45 millimeters is possible. As we head towards Ottawa, 15 to 30, but this is going to be persistent rain this evening. And even in the southwest around London, for example, where the rain has eased, you could still get more showers as the night goes on. Let's head outside right now where Mark looks like he's taking a shower in southwestern Ontario. Well, that's good to hear. And Mark was saying potential tornado in certain areas. We've seen signs of rotation around Essex tonight, near the Tillsonburg region at this point. So potentially some strong winds out there, some damage. If you are in the area, best to tell people to get indoors. It's not safe out there at this point. Let's switch gears, look at what's happening in the west. The snow is tapering off in Calgary. It really was a morning commute story. At this point, if you're traveling south along the QE2 around Staveley, you're going to be seeing still some snow at this point, but the snow has ended in the major city of Calgary, and it's now out of the snowfall warning. Snowfall warning is indicative of about additional 5 to 10 centimeters of rain, particularly in the higher elevations. That's where the 10 centimeters could fall. But this is what people were seeing earlier today. Calgary, not only yesterday, but still today, because that powerful storm just continues, and it's going to ease up by Thursday in improvement in temperatures, but overnight tonight, we're going to have some slick roads, cool temperatures in the overnight, so definitely some ice potential there for you. This is the snowfall totals we've seen since Sunday night, so this is not just today. This is Monday morning through to today. Calgary Northwest End, 40 to 45 centimeters. Calgary, the International Airport, 24 centimeters. Canmore, 30. So it's been a big event. An early event, too. It was last year in October that both Calgary and Edmonton saw their first snowfall of the season. So we're technically still in summer. Cloud cover through the overnight. There's that snow building in where we still have warnings, but it is tapering off. This is definitely starting to ease. And for Thursday, high pressure in place, and then temperatures take a big rebound as we head into next week. By Monday, Calgary, you're going to be sitting around 20 degrees, but Thursday morning, feeling like minus 10. Coming up, our storm watch coverage continues for Alberta and Ontario.
Mini.com. Review your compatible matches for free.
In Ontario and then head to the west where snow has been the big story for our viewers in Alberta. But let's first focus on what's going on here. Southwestern Ontario started to see the heavy rain first, and now it's moved into the Greater Toronto region. We really had our eye on this cell right here, moving towards the Tillsonburg region between Tillsonburg and Delhi. Was showing signs of rotation, so strong winds in that vicinity. It is starting to weaken, so that's certainly a good news story there. Have not seen any official tornado warnings at this point in the province of Ontario from Environment Canada, but a few of the cells tonight have been showing signs of rotation, so definitely it is indicative that it is a very volatile environment out there and heavy amounts of rain. Let's switch over and see where we've had the risk for storms today. In the southwest, anywhere marked in red, Windsor, Chatham, Kent, Tillsonburg, for example, windy conditions and isolated severe storms as we head north towards the city of Toronto. Let's head outside right now to southwestern Ontario, where Mark, maybe you can tell us where you are in the flooded rains. Thanks, Mark. Well, at some point, I guess you just get so wet that you can't get any wetter, and that's exactly what's happening to Mark out there. So, yes, heavy amounts of rain. Reports of flooded basements around the Amherstburg region, where people are saying they've seen at least 60 millimeters of rain. This is going to continue to go on all night. We haven't even seen the cold front swing through. So, still, if you're in a break at this point for London, for example, you're going to get more rain in the next little while. Northern Ontario is in a rainfall warning, including Chapleau, Kapuskasing, Timmins, and temperatures have been quite cold today. In the north, we've already seen a bit of a rain-snow mix today. Let's head west now to our storm watch coverage continues. I'm meteorologist Nicole Karkic. As we look at the big stories across the country, this one stands out in Western Canada. We've seen since Monday, so these are two events combined, 40 to 45 centimeters in northwest Calgary, Sundre 25 centimeters, the International Airport, Calgary, 24 centimeters of snow. And then we get back to our next story, Ontario, where the storms are happening right now. They're quite severe, especially in southwestern Ontario. We've seen signs of rotation on the radar around Tillsonburg. 6 tonight, so strong winds, heavy downpours, and that's extending up all the way into the Greater Toronto region right now. But we head outside where Chrissy Van is outdoors in the wet weather. She's been there for the last little while. And Chrissy, what can you tell us in the Kitchener-Waterloo region? We hope not. And at this point, we haven't seen a lot of lightning strikes out there. A lot of this is happening ahead of the front. The cold front, though, however, as it swings through, as Chrissy mentioned, we are going to see cooler temperatures behind it and the potential for strong thunderstorms. So this is happening right now. In the London region, we're getting a bit of a break, but right behind it, we still have some more showers to go. Northern Ontario bearing the brunt with a lot of heavy rain tonight. Kapuskasing, casing Wawa, Timmins in a rainfall warning for up to 50 to 70 millimeters of rain. And it was cold enough today that in Geraldton, we saw a rain-snow mix, and we could see a rain-snow mix tonight around Hearst. So cool temperatures in the north because of that front pushing through. Into Thursday, Sudbury, 45 to 70 millimeters for the Greater Toronto region, a general 30 to 45 millimeters of rain. So we go from rain and switch over to snow. Ontario as well as Alberta are two top stories, but let's start first in Ontario, where you can see lots of rain, flooding rains, in fact. Meteorologist Jacqueline Whittle sent this picture to us. She said her friends Sandy and Randy have a flooded room to deal with. Amherstburg reports of up to 60 millimeters of rain, and it's still coming down. This was a tweet that I found. Tony sent this. He said, we've got some grounds that are completely getting flooded at this point, and the roads looking pretty bad where Mark Robinson is. Lots of flooding in the Tim Hortons parking lot. He's in Comber, so not good to be driving through rains like this. We'll talk more about how long it's going to last and how much we're going to get across Ontario. But right now, let's head outdoors where Chrissy Van is in the Kitchener-Waterloo region. All right, Chrissy Van doing a great job out there as always. And yes, of course, temperatures in the 20s at this point, but it's going to change by tomorrow, that's for sure. This is the big expanse where we could see the most severe weather. Marked in red is where we've already seen signs of rotation on a few thunderstorm cells, so the windiest weather there, but isolated severe storms as that front pushes through tonight. Our next big story in the west has been... Our Storm Watch coverage continues. We're going to talk about the story in the west. But first up, I'm back. First up, we're going to focus our attention on what's happening in Ontario, where the most severe weather is occurring in the southwest, where we've had strong winds, signs of rotation on a few cells that have moved through the area. Windsor, Chatham, Kent, definitely an area to keep an eye on tonight, but also as a cold front swinging through London, Toronto, up towards Barrie, isolated severe storms. And the big thing we're seeing already is tons of photos of people's flooded basements, flooded roads. It is not a good situation. Heavy amounts of rain are moving through the area. And speaking of that, where it seems to be getting worse, we've got poor Chrissy outside in the Kitchener-Waterloo region. Wow, good things to keep in mind. And if those roads get a little bit tough out there and it looks like we've got puddles, try to avoid them. You could totally hydroplane your car in just a little bit of water. And this is just ongoing right now. We've got even the city of Toronto, north of that, Newmarket up towards Barrie, the Vaughan region, heavy amounts of rain. That was the Kitchener-Waterloo region. And there is a bit of a break right here around London, for example, but that's going to be followed by more rain. The cold front still has to swing through, and that's what's going to dramatically change our temperatures for tomorrow and even spark some thunderstorms this evening. Rainfall warnings are in place in the north. We're not in rainfall warnings in the south because it's just below that rainfall criteria. But for the north, it's up to 50 to 70 millimeters potentially. Anywhere marked in red, seeing the most. But anywhere in dark green, nothing to scoff at. This could produce those flooded basements, as we've been seeing on Twitter, 30 to 45 millimeters in the Greater Toronto region. If you're going to be east towards Ottawa, 15 to 30 millimeters of rain. Let's now head to another big story we're covering here on the Weather Network, and that's the snow in Alberta. We've seen heavy amounts around the city of Calgary as well. This is interesting. We take you to Calgary, where someone's moving very slowly. I'm not quite sure, Gary, what's going on here. Maybe you can tell me.
I don't know, but I'm speechless with that. I guess when it